Bionicle hand connector. If you're into Bionicle, you probably have a few of these already, or a lot, like me. This is only a fraction of what I have. But sometimes. But like this piece, as you can see, has gone through many different iterations over the years. This isn't even all of them. I have another one behind me. But I just kind of wanted to document a comprehensive history of this piece because I couldn't find one on YouTube. So, well, yeah. May as well document for new people in their community. So, without further ado, let's go. So the origin of this piece dates back to 1999 with the Slizers theme of sets. These are interesting because, oh, I didn't grab his disc, sorry about that. So this is interesting because this was Lego's first stab at a construction theme. And they were kind of weird looking. They were heavily Technic based. That was the sub theme. So they all had like gear functions and such. But this is where this piece was introduced, and here it is being used as a hand, even though that wasn't its primary purpose in most of the sets that it came in. Usually it was like a foot connector or a hip thing. Usually it's made to connect limbs to various places on the body of the characters. And also this year, we got introduced to this piece here. Now, these were pretty common up until 2001, when I think they were discontinued that year. I'm not positive on that. But they come in many different colors, you know, just over the years that they've existed. These ones are in light blue. I think that they did make them in purple as well, if I remember correctly. This one, I believe, did come on a Slicer set, but also a Bionicle set, so that's a thing. But these were like literally, this is a Slicer hand piece. On many sets, this would be what you would attach things to for them. But you could click things into place on them, like that is actually firmly in there. And that was mainly for the throwing function, you know how that works probably by this point. Similar to the Victorian of 01. So there's that. Now that hand piece is also made to connect, so you clip into these as well. It'll work on both sides of this piece actually. So you could do that. Or you have the Mata leg or limb, which came out in 2001 and would work for that as well. So pretty extensive piece. So there's that. The original hand, the hand connector, would last a lot longer than that, since we're still seeing versions of it in production today. So I'm going to move on to the next step in its life, 2001. So 2001 made way for Bionicle, which had its first wave of sets as the Toa Mata. Now these were also still Technic based. It is a Technic sub-theme, as is indicated by this canister here. Now, for a while, constructions came in these, so basically the best way to get these little guys for the longest time, the hand connector, was through, like, sets like that. But it's different nowadays. So you can see these still aren't really being used as hands. And looking at my other Toa Mata, there's only one that actually uses it as a hand, and that's Kopaka. I only have his arm right here because I was rebuilding one, but, you know, they used it to connect his shield as a hand, so that's a thing, I guess. But this year also made way for the weapon arm, which, you know, attached to these hand connectors and was used for all sorts of stuff. And actually could also attach to this piece here and click into place like the rest of them could, but I don't think that was used super often, if at all, in sets. Or combining models for that matter. So at this point still, these pieces were not limited, or mostly limited to connecting limbs to things rather than being used as hands at this point. So, time to move on to 2002, which has an interesting evolution of this kind of build. So in 2002, LEGO introduced the Toa Nuva to their lineup of sets, which is just basically newer versions of the Mata. So these are both Liwa, this one's, well, upgraded Liwa. So as you can see on this Liwa, he is using the Slicer hand piece for his one hand, and the other is using the weapon arm. But this Liwa Nuva he actually uses hands. So this gave the opportunity for wrists, and I think it was the first time they really used this piece as a hand on every single figure in the wave. So like the Nuva had it, or Liwa had it, Kopaka has one. I know Gali has them. Like they all have them. That's the point. But it just kind of made for an interesting new kind of thing that I don't think the Lego themselves had experimented with too much up until this point. So there's not really much to say there aside from that. And this mold is still being used by that point in time. So yeah. And yeah, so I'm going to keep going with the hand deal, with them using it as hands. So this continued until 2007. This is from 2006, not 07. I didn't grab any of those two, so. But they actually started making them in transparent colors, which is interesting. Is a different type of plastic than the ABS of the solid colors. So like, it was a legitimately different piece. So like, give me one moment. I'm gonna pick up all of my original hand connector mold pieces. So all of these ones, so like basically this mold was being used until, yeah, just this piece, also purple. I want to flex it, so rip the light gray one. Basically, it was used as hand for a long time. So, on to the next version of the piece. So before I move on to the next version of the piece, I want to talk about some variants of this hand connector here. You know, just that. So first, in 2004, Lego released a double socket piece. This was used as, also this is incorrect, I think. Might be. I don't know. Regardless, these pieces were used in 2004 as thighs and shoulders for the Toa Metru. I'm not going to go grab my one Toa Metru because I don't feel like it. But they were used for a very long time because they were so versatile. It's a double socket. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do with that. And also they released another version of the single socket which had rubber on the inside and an axle facing outward. So if you compare this to the original mold, it doesn't have, this one had it going through, this one had it going out, or horizontal, vertical. So different uses for the pieces, and also just like they were very different. This one you could use a stud connection, this one not. This one had rubber on inside, this one didn't. So I don't have very many of them, but they are very prominent in the history of this kind of piece, as are these. So moving to the next evolution of this hand connector piece is the 2008 version. I think everyone knows about this one just because of how bad they are. I have a lot of these ones because I was into Hero Factory, or I'm still into Hero Factory, but they are interesting, to say the least. So I'm going to whip out one of the original ones to compare. So the original one, you can see it's a lot more textured. So an interesting thing with the original one is that you were able to take anything with studs on it and kind of attach it. And it wasn't a strong connection by any means. It was very easy to knock off or remove. But it was a connection option that was there. And another option, I don't think I have any axles on me right now, but you could stick axles through this one. Oh, wait, no, there's an axle right here. So you can stick axles through it. And that is a legal connection. Lego actually did that on the Toa Kaita Weirua, which I just built before. So yeah, this is kind of this version of the piece. And also the socket is rounded, which is important. This new version, the socket is square. And actually also, this version has some weird nuances to it. It's much more pinched. You'll notice that like this one's very smooth. This one like kind of curves in. It ends up looking really weird because of it. I mean, it's not really weird looking, but it's just kind of odd, I guess. And then this part's rounded, which I'll get to in a bit. And you can still stick an axle through these ones, but it's not as good. Like, it's kind of sketchy, which I'll get to in a moment. But these ones are completely smooth, and that textured surface would never return again for the hand connector. So basically, and also the inside is not as textured, it's just a clean kind of cup. And I'm going to light one, you can't see it. Kind of clean on the inside there. It doesn't have the kind of like texture that the original one had. Grabbing the crap, keep dropping them. So just the inside looked a lot different, which I think that's interesting. I don't know about you, but yeah. These came out in 2008 and were used until 2010. And here's one of my 2008 sets. All of these, I think all of them, I think every single socket on this guy's cracked. He's not in good shape, but yeah, he's there. You can see that these crack very easily. So the original ones had a tendency to crack, especially lime. Just notoriously in 2007, Lego botched lime somehow. I think this, oh yeah, this piece is correct. You can see it. Barely, just barely. Right there. It is cracked, and it always occurred on the outside of the hole in this piece. So Lego sought a remedy. They made the socket smaller, and more pinched, and more brittle, and they're garbage. I don't know what they were thinking with this. I suppose they thought, because a lot of times you would see versions of this piece where the axle would like split or like it would break going down here, kind of. I've had some that break on the socket, some that break over here, but I suppose that the axle hole, because it was hollow, you can see all the way through it. I suppose they thought that was a weak point, which it might have been, I don't know. So they smoothed it out and pinched the socket, which, not good. I have had numerous of this piece break before. So that wasn't the only piece they changed. They changed the original double socket as well. And also by this point in time, this piece was also completely phased out. It didn't last very long. This piece stopped coming out in about 2005, I think. So that's a shame. But they changed the other ones as well. Now this change also went to regular system bricks. I don't own very many of those. I don't own any actually in this version, but you get the idea. So this one is broken. I bought it because I thought it wasn't, and it was. So yeah, you can see same changes as the other one. So yeah. Now this wasn't all bad. This piece specifically, it allowed for more connections. So like the Bionicle armor from 2006, the shoulder armor, like right here, that piece could not attach to these ones. So if you put it on the pinhole in the middle here, it couldn't attach because the square didn't give it enough range. It wasn't space. This version you could. So that's the only reason I see to have this version of the piece. And as you can see, they use them here on Toei Bionicle. But aside from that, there's not really much of a reason to go out of your way to get this version of the piece. So that's about, this is as far as I can really think of for this version of it. I don't really have that many examples of it, aside from what I've already shown you. Oh, and also I forgot to mention this at the beginning. These things come in a lot of different colors. So at least the originals came in a lot more colors. Like these ones, like every single of the original Mata colors, silver, dark green, dark blue, dark and light gray, old purple, which I think only came on like a Slicer and maybe one Bionicle set. I don't remember. But yeah, overall, interesting deal. On to the next one. I keep saying on to the next one and I keep forgetting. I have other stuff to show. These are all sitting behind me, so I forget about it. So I forgot to mention this earlier, but the hand connectors were kind of sneaking their way onto system sets, most notably Ninjago, with their dragons using these feet. And actually, if you look at the head, it uses that double socket from 2008, which I graciously forgot to mention. This whole, can I get him back attached, please? There we go. So construction wasn't dead, and also weirdly enough, this piece uses the full socket, like the regular socket from this next version, which is odd, but I don't really question it. This is a cool set anyway. So let's not break anything. There we go. So the next version, we had CCBS, which, if you're unfamiliar, is just this system for Hero Factory. Snaps together pretty easily. Let's see if I can reach a shell in here. This is the closest one I could find. Just snap-on armor, you know, pretty basic stuff. So LEGO made a new hand connector for this, which was this piece here. Now, this wasn't the end of the original like this piece didn't wasn't the first, like this isn't the original CCBS hand. By this point they were using pieces not unlike this one here. This is the CCBS hand that was used in Hero Factory all the way until the end of the Star Wars buildable figures. I don't remember when those ended actually, but you know, see, more square socket, everything's even. And the hole still, which actually, this is the first version, axle doesn't fit. So if you wanted to use that bar connection method, or that connection method that I showed earlier with the older ones where you stick the axle through, you would have to use a bar instead, which would wobble. So not as good, but still good nonetheless. These are very robust. And they only came in a few colors. I only own a couple of them. These are the only ones of it I own. But they also came in, to my knowledge, transparent neon orange, and I know for a fact yellow. That came in a LEGO Movie 2 set. So yeah, that is really, I don't really, oh, you know it. So I don't own many construction sets that have this piece, but I own a great many system sets. And I'm going to bring one of them right now. I'm seeing a trend with what I like to own with LEGO. So, in 2021, this piece was retired, this version, and this is one of the last sets it was on. That's this dragon's jaw. And it works really, really well, actually. I think it's good in its own right. And just overall, there was a point where LEGO stopped making construction sets, so they really had to kind of go in and do different stuff to kind of use this piece. Because this is a very useful piece outside of construction. You see, you have axle connections on both sides, so it's like a regular axle connector. I don't have any right here. Dropped my phone there, sorry. So it's not unlike this one, only remove the axle, the pinhole. So is that, you know, the axle hole on the top and then the socket. So they're super useful still to this day. So of course they're going to use on some stuff. So I'm now going to move on to the final version of this piece, which debuted in 2021. So 2021 made way for the newest version of this piece, the newest hand connector, which is this version right here. Now you'll notice they closed off the hole, so let me see if I can get this off for you really quick, so I can really do a good comparison. Hopefully I'm not gonna try. So you'll notice the hole is now closed off completely, eliminating that connection. But I have actually had this version break before. I don't have any, because why would I keep that? I wonder if this is the cracked one, actually. I have a cracked one here somewhere. It is not. But yeah, these did still crack occasionally. And they didn't crack often. I've had several that have broken, but other people haven't, so it is a rare issue. This version has come in black, dark gray, and gold, to my knowledge. It is still very new. And also, something I forgot to mention, from going from 2008 to 2011 with this one is that this one's more matte than this one. Like, this one's definitely a lot... Dang it, I keep dropping stuff. This one's a lot shinier, and this one's not. So, you kind of have that there. Then from, like, the new one, the newest version, is definitely a lot shinier than the CCBS one. So, that's an interesting change I noticed. Aside from that, all the connections are exactly the same. The only change, well, the biggest change is, of course, the lack of a hold, which this is now reinforced with an extra bit of, like, a line on that socket. This is extremely good. From what I can tell, it's like the neck, it's really good. They actually also, oh wait, I do have that piece right. They changed the socket brick as well to be the same way, which I am actually personally happy about. I know there are some people that weren't necessarily happy about this weird change, or they were not necessarily unhappy, but just kind of confused. So this is from 2023. I believe there is a review of it up already if you want to see that. But yeah, it's very good. They're still using it heavily. This set comes with 4 of them, and then 2 of the socket brick. So the hand connector, oh no, it comes with 6 of them. Some on the hands. So 6 of the hand connector piece in this new mold. So yeah, construction isn't dead as we still got it here. Now, to the outro. So that was a comprehensive history, or a comprehensive as I can get, history of the Bionicle hand connector. Piece with many iterations. There you go. I've always wanted to do a more rambly video like this, so thought, why not do it on a subject like this that I couldn't find anything on? So, for new fans in the community, if they ever find this, hopefully it's useful, or to you, for those of you who at least already knew and just felt like watching it for no reason, hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video in 2 weeks. Ciao.